first thing you want to do is open Photoshop and then go to your files. In this case, I'm going to my emac files, and I'm finding some images under New Family Pics. I'm going to select Married, and I'm going to open that up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to this polygonal lasso tool, and I'm going to drop some points here, another point here, a point here, and then a point here. And then this is selecting this area. I might move it over a little bit to get more of my mother in and less of that man who I'm not really that interested in, and my father. And then what I'm going to do is go to Copy, and now I'm going to create a new image. I'm going to set this in inches so I can see what I'm doing. I don't want it to be the size of the triangle. I want it to be larger. So I'll say 8 by 10 and make sure that transparent is there. Now you can see I have two images, and I can see the two views right here. But I'm going to go back to the one image right here, and I'm going to go up to Edit and then Paste. So there we have the triangle pasted. Now it's too large for what I want to do, so I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and then Scale. And then I'm going to click on this little area right here so that if I transform it, it's not going to change anything but the scale, so it's not going to change the content, making it larger or bigger or smaller. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller here. And then I'm going to click this. So that's my first layer, as you can see. I'm going to duplicate this layer by dragging it down to here, then going to my Move tool, and you can see I've made a second one. Now, in order for me to see what I'm doing more easily, I'm going to create a new layer. I'll get rid of it later. And I'm going to put that new layer underneath everything. And I'm going to color that layer. I'm going to fill it with the color that I have right here, just so I can sort of see what I'm doing. And now I can see more or less what's going on. And I'm going to try and line it up, and you can see I need to move it just a little bit more. And I'll say that's fine. Now I'm going to take my arrow keys and just begin to move it up closer to where I want to be. And I'm going to make this a little larger so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So now I'm going to take that layer copy and I'm going to duplicate it again. So I'm going to move that and see what I have is another one. So again, I'm going to transform this. I'm going to twist it. I'm going to move it. I'm going to transform it again so it's more in line. I'm going to move it down again and transform it still further. And then I'll say fine, and then I'm going to take my arrow keys and move it up and adjust it so that it's closer to where I want it to be. So that's about where I need it to be. Now I'm going to take all three of these layers right here by holding my Shift key, and then I'm going to say Merge Layers. Not flatten, because then I'd be stuck with that purple, which I don't necessarily want. So now I'm going to make a duplication of that. Lo and behold, got my Move tool, and there it is. So again, I'm going to transform it, turn it, and whoops, move it a little bit more, sort of like I did before. And I'll say fine. Now I'm going to take another one of those, and again I'm going to transform it, turn it around, whoops, a little bit too much, and I'll say fine, and I'm going to use my arrow keys to adjust it. Okay, and now I'm going to take that again. And it's important when you do these triangles, by the way, to make them long and thin. It just seems to work better, I've found. Now I'm going to make sure that my rulers are showing a little bit more even, right? And now I've got those rulers showing, and I'll show you what I'm going to do in a minute. But first, I have to take all of these layers that I've put together, with the exception, I don't want to do this one, and say merge those layers. Okay. Now I'm just left with this, and you can still see my blue tools. And I'm going to go over to this area. I'm not going to do a square. I'm going to do an elliptical marquee, and I'm going to go right at the edge of where the blue line is, and I'm going to snap this until I get the circle that I want. I'm going to do it a little bit over from it to make it a little smaller. There we go. That's more of what I wanted. I'm going to say image crop, and I'm going to say copy. So I'm copying. I'm going to make a whole brand new image now, transparent again. This time I'm going to make inches, and I'm going to make it something like 8 by 8 inches because I want it to be square. And I'm going to go up to edit and then just say paste or Control V, and there is my mandala. Now I might want to add a color, so I'll just take a new layer again, put it underneath the first layer because I want to pick a color. So I'll probably pick something kind of, oh, maybe bluish or purple. That'd be nice. And I'll say OK. And now I'll say fill with the foreground color. And there we have it. So that's pretty much what I would like to have for a mandala. And now what I'll do is I'll completely square it off and make it into the very final image. So this is cropped, and then the last thing I'll do is turn off my rulers and my extras, and I will save this as wedding mandala in case I want to play with it more or add more to it later. And I'll also save it as a JPEG.